We'll call this meeting of Town Board to order at 4 p.m. I'd like to welcome everybody. Pledge a flag. John?
Yep. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on our agenda is a public hearing on proposed local law to supersede the doctrine of incompatibility with respect to sewer water clerk position and town council person. I'll ask the clerk to read the notice.
Notice of public hearing on proposed local law to supersede the doctrine of incompatibility with respects to the sewer and water clerk position and town council person. Notice is hereby given that the Warrensburg Town Board will hold a public hearing on December 28th, 2022, beginning at 4 p.m. at the Warrensburg Town Hall, 3797 Main Street, Warrensburg, New York, concerning proposed local law number 2 of 2022. The proposed local law would supersede the doctrine of incompatibility with respects to the sewer and water clerk position and town council person and allow the same person to serve in both capacities simultaneously. New York Municipality Home Rule Law 10-1A1 grants local governments the authority to enact local laws regarding the qualifications of local officers. Copies of the proposed local law are filed in the town clerk's office and may be reviewed during normal business hours and also available on the town clerk's website and also available on the table over there if you'd like to read it. Please take further notice that all interest parties will be heard at this time and place. Please take further notice if this local law is adopted by the Warrensburg Town Board after this public hearing, such local law shall take effect upon filing with the Secretary of State. Pamela Lloyd, December 19, 2022. It was published.
Okay. Now we're going to set up a microphone. Please come up, state your name for the record. Anybody who wishes to speak to the town board. So the public hearing is open.
Away from it because it'll catch you.
So anybody wish to address the town board on this potential local law?
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Randy.
Everybody else?
State your name and residence, Gary.
Randy Ross,
Randy.
Warrensburg, New York.
Okay.
First off, this comes from no place of animosity. I know most of the board members have got actually relatives involved. But my feelings and understandings around rules, laws, protocols, ethical standards pertaining to certain government jobs or positions is that most are put in place initially because of a problem or case involving impropriety or a sense of impropriety was assumed by the public. Not that there was or is here, but some wrong or some sense of impropriety caused this law or rule or protocol to be put in place. I think that stands here. This rule is here to prevent a problem or a sense of one. I know this board seeks open and fair governance without reproach, so I believe it has no choice to keep the laws as is. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board?
Charles Badarian, resident. As Randy just said, my feelings are the same. And I do not feel there's a need for us to change the laws for a situation. The particular position was resigned before because of a possible conflict, and I believe it should be left alone. Thank you.
Okay.
Michelle Hamilton, taxpayer. I'm a little confused. If the New York State put into effect this law 21A1 that leaves the door open, I don't understand what the conflict of interest could possibly be here. If you sit on a town board, I mean, is she going to make changes in the sewer rate? I mean, isn't that a joint thing the five of you would do? I just don't understand why a person who has worked for the town for, I don't know, 4 years, 3 years, who has taken a pay cut and who is giving up her $4,200 stipend that she would get as a town board member who is saving the town money, why that goes against what we're all in the game for, which is trying to save the town money. She gets $17,000 a year salary, which I don't even know what did the previous sewer clerk get?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember off.
Well, Donna Combs got paid extra for doing,
There was three town clerks at the one time, town clerk and 2 deputies.
oh, I thought Donna got paid extra for doing the,
She got paid some money.
okay, well, all right. Well, the point is, you've always had 3 town clerks. You still have 3 town clerks. One has taken over the sewer and water department taxation and billing. My whole point is, what is the point of her giving up a town council position, which she won 2/3 more than her opponent? And I think all of us that campaigned for her knew that she was the sewer and water clerk. So I don't understand what the conflict is, but maybe you could explain it to me.
Anybody else?
Kim Ross, taxpayer. So just a couple of things. I'm just gonna say it. Shelley, I know, like you're saying, she ran. So it was already a town law that she couldn't sit on the town board and be a town employee. So I believe that should have been known, because she's already been there in 2017 as a town board member, and then was made a clerk's position. So she got pulled from the town, she resigned from the town board to go be in the clerk's office. So it's pretty much the same thing, it's just 2022 now. So she already, yes, she ran, and yes, she won, but she should have already known that she couldn't do both because it's a town law, okay? And as I'm looking at this, so this is this is just me and the Post-Star, and maybe they got it right, maybe they got it wrong, but it's actually right here, section 4. The town of Warrensburg is a rural area where few other qualified residents are known to exist.
I don't know where they got that from.
Okay, but it was in the paper that, you guys haven't opened the position yet. Here we are, it's the final hour. We're gonna swear Joyce in on the 3rd. And now we're debating whether what she's going to be doing.
Okay.
And in the newspaper, Mr. Garrity, you're quoted as saying that there's nobody in this town that is qualified.
I don't believe I said that.
Well, it's in the newspaper.
Excuse me. I'm not going to debate you over
So
the
I'm
newspaper.
ju-
You
well,
want to
just-
stick to facts? I'm not going to
Okay.
debate. Excuse me.
So
I'm
it's here in
talking.
black and
Excuse me,
white.
Miss Ross. I'm talking.
Okay.
Now,
Isn't it my turn to talk?
we're going to talk on facts. We're not going to debate newspaper articles.
Okay.
I'm not here to do that. And if you want to talk about facts, about law, let's talk about facts. In June of 17, Joyce resigned from the Warrensburg Town Board to become a deputy town clerk.
Mhm.
She was a deputy town clerk from July of 17 to October of 2019. In 2019, in August of 2019, the town changed the position
Mhm.
from deputy town clerk to sewer water clerk.
Mhm.
So she is not a deputy town clerk.
I know
And
that.
that's the way it is now.
I realize that.
Well, let's
So
get to
in
facts.
2017, she was on the town board. She was needed in the town clerk's office. You put her in the town clerk's office, so she resigned from the town board.
That's correct.
So now it's 2022. She is a town employee.
That's correct.
She ran knowing that it's town law that she couldn't hold both positions. That's why we're all here today. And, well,
Excuse
Okay,
me,
not
excuse me,
all of us, but
address the board,
Okay,
please
we're
address the
having
board.
this meeting right now because of this, correct? We're trying to decide if we're gonna keep her on the town, let her swear in as the town board, plus keep her as an employee. Is that correct? That's why we're here.
The intent is, in order for us to do this, we would have to create a local law to allow a
Right,
town
resolution,
board member to serve as the water sewer
correct.
clerk. That's it.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
That's why you're here.
Okay. Again, section 4, I don't know where these notes came from, but to me, this is insulting to me. I live in this town.
Don't know where that came from. Okay,
I
let's
grew-
wrap up.
We have a time limit?
Yes, 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Kevin.
Linda Marcella, a Warrensburg taxpayer. First, thank you for taking the time and making the effort to listen to us. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I think it's part of the process. I wish it was a little more timely because I think it's caused more angst than anything else, and somewhat embarrassing, especially for Mrs. Reed. And one thing I would like to make clear, this is not, as far as I'm concerned, about Mrs. Reed. Okay? She did a great job on the town board, and I love the job she does in there. It's not about it. It's about creating a local law
That's correct.
that if she quits a month later, or God forbid something happens, or it's 10 years and we're all gone, it's going to be the book law in the books. And that person, as ethical or unethical as they can be, can serve on that board. And as a matter of fact, I just want to be clear, I think this has created an injustice for Mrs. Reed, because I think had we addressed it sooner, we'd have known how it was going to outcome, and she could make a decision if she had to, what she was going to do. In my 62 years of professional life, mostly in the Capital District and here, I've served on numerous boards, many of them governing boards. Never once was an employee allowed to serve on the governing board because there's too much conflict of interest. I know that you can say, well, they can recuse themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone that should have recused themselves, and they're the ones to make the decision as to whether or not they have to. It's obvious that if they are remunerated or making money from a transaction, that they have to recuse themselves. But there's so many other parts of conflict of interest. It's not even funny. So I don't think it's appropriate for you to be on both sides of the bench. And like I said, recusal is great. But if the person says, I don't consider I'm a conflict of interest, then they don't have to declare it. Regarding lack of qualified individuals, you know I like numbers. In the 2020 census, Warrensburg's population is 3,215 people. There are 1,926 that are on the employment age between 18 and 64. In 2020, 610 were working in office, administration, support, and management. So with regards to the issue is there anybody else qualified should she decide she really wants to be on the town board? I think there must have been other candidates, and you really should have made the effort to try to find someone if that was going to be the case. The town board exists to govern and to serve the majority, not one person. This law, once it becomes inactive, stays on the book. And whoever persons or whatever fills that position, and they may not be as qualified, and they may not be as credible or as ethical, again. And when the person asks, well, what do they do? But does she set the, yes. And when you're in the middle, and that was the way I feel it would be, she's in the middle, Mrs. Reed. The next person may not be, but she's friends with everybody, and rightfully so. Her husband ran the departments for years. It's going to be hard, and maybe she will do it. It's going to be hard when somebody says, well, I can't believe that they're not giving us a raise, and they're going to make us pay higher insurance. And that's exactly the kind of thing that she would be addressed with. And she's going to hear it from them. That's just the nature of the way people are. Again, I would say to the council people on the board, I really hope that you'll think about this and you'll make the right decision, because there's an entire town that you're supposed to be representing and not just worried about one person. And again, I thank you for listening.
You're welcome. Anybody else wish to address the board tonight?
Michelle Bedell, resident of Warrensburg. She said it all. That's my opinion. You can't just do it for one person, and it might have issues down the road, but they shouldn't be in both positions. It's been that way for years. I think it should stand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Gary Cooper, taxpayer in Warrensburg, Lake Ave. I have a question for the four councilmen that are sitting on the board. Mr. Alexander, has you or your spouse appointed or volunteered for positions in Warrensburg that could be a conflict?
Just my wife's a Christmas queen, that's all she is, you know?
Okay. Mr. Rounds, wife or a significant other has been on the town or ran for town positions or in Warren County?
Yeah, girlfriend and.
Mr. Garrity?
No.
Mr. Larkin?
No.
Okay. So we have, the other question is, before we go further, is are we trying to change that law right now?
Yes.
We're trying to change the law right now in regards to Mrs. Reed being on water and sewer and cannot sit on the board? Because could she have done this in 2021? About 2020? So she couldn't have. Okay, was there a conflict of interest in our community of, we used to be well over 5,000, we're down well below 4,000, between a judge for the town of Warrensburg and a councilwoman in the town of Warrensburg? Would that be some type of conflict?
I'm not aware of that being a conflict. I believe the person on the board couldn't vote for their husband's spouse's.
Okay, so that would be
appointment.
basically, Mr. Garrity, that would be basically a vote. I can't vote for you because you're my spouse.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Mrs. Reed is water and sewer. What harm could this person do as a councilwoman? Because we have 4 people voting up here, as far as I'm concerned. We have Mr. Garrity and Mr. Alexander voting one way, and we probably have Mr. Rounds and Mr. Larkin, for example, voting a different way. Now we have the townspeople voting their way. My hope for this board right here is listening to the town that voted for the 5th person to be sitting on this board. That's the only thing I'm hoping that transpires tonight. This is Mrs. Reed sits on this board, as well as take care of water and sewer, which in reality, we're not a community of 40,000 people. We're a community of like 3,600. I think it can be worked out legally and intelligently.
I have to clarify, we are not changing any laws. We want to create a local law. We're not changing any laws.
Why do we want to create this law now? Or because if we create this law this evening for the townspeople, for the townspeople. It's not the 4 people that are on the board. If we create this law this evening for the town of Warrensburg, will this allow Mrs. Reed that won the vote, the majority of the vote, to be on the board, as well as water and sewer representative, whatever her title may be? Will it allow it, or will it disqualify her to be one or the other?
It would allow it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wish to address the board tonight?
Sorry, guys.
I'm the infamous Joyce Reed. Just for a little bit of clarification, in 2017, I resigned from the town board to be deputy town clerk. Deputy town clerk is considered an elective position. You cannot hold 2 elective positions. State law says that a town can appoint a board member to have extra duties. In 2019, the former board, not including Mr. Larkin, created the water and sewer clerk.
That's correct.
August 2019. There were 3 other people working in the office who could have assumed the position of water and sewer clerk. I asked Mr. Garrity, did anybody else ask for the position?
No.
Okay. I asked for the position, one, to leave the deputy clerk to give you, because home rule does state that, it doesn't say that you can't run for the town board. It doesn't say that. It says the town board can create a job, can create the position. You created the position in 2019, not until October of 2019, 3 months later, did you appoint me, everybody on the board except for Mr. Larkin. So I feel that my husband worked for the Water and Sewer Department for 20 years. I'm very adept at what happens in this town. You can read the minutes from the sewer plant going in. I was here at every single meeting. I do my research. That's fairly obvious. I'm not here to beg for my job. I'm not here to beg for the town board position. I ran under the assumption, which shame on me, but the town law does, New York state law says that you cannot hold 2 elective positions. It does not say that the town, and to save money, smaller towns, this is the law. You can appoint a town board member to have a second position in the town if it's going to fiscally, and let me tell you, it will fiscally help the town, because I believe that the town board gets paid anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000.
6,000 going.
Okay. I'm not taking that. Okay. You've created a job. It's $17,800. I do it because I love what I do. I love the town. I've lived here my whole life. And like I said, I'm not going to beg, but 889 people knew when I ran for election, and all the board members knew that I was running for the town board. They didn't come to me and say, you can't keep your position. Nobody said that until all of a sudden, November, I get elected by 72% of the vote of the townspeople. And here we are. That's all I'm going to say. It's just, and believe me, when you say recuse, the budget has passed. So I'm not voting on my pay, which other board members have done with their spouses and not recuse themselves. So I ask, who's in conflict? Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address the board tonight? Anybody? Good.
Gail Corlew, Library Avenue. I was a deputy town clerk. I was the administrator of sewer and water. In 2017, Mrs. Reed did come in not as anything to do with sewer and water. I administered it. I was the only one that could do any changes in the sewer and water. Donna, the town clerk, didn't. Joyce did not. This is crazy that this is going on, crazy. The conflict between Donna, the former town clerk, and Mrs. Reed, that was a personnel issue. That's why she so decided to get out of the town clerk's office.
Let's stick to
That's-
the local law.
That's why we're here today, is because now we want to flip the page and we want to change it, allowing her to hold the job, which she is in the town clerk's office. She's doing her water and sewer. So that means she does no dog licensing. She does no marriage licenses, but she knows the ins and outs of that town clerk's office every single day. How can she sit on that board and make any decisions that have to do with the town clerk's office, with salaries? Another key, she can't take XYZ amount of monies because she draws from her husband.
Oh, that's personal, please. Let's
Again,
not get
so
personal.
don't,
Let's talk about the right.
I'm
okay?
trying to get there, Kevin.
Let's
I'm
not
just
get personal.
I'm just
It's
saying,
a public
don't-
hearing about the
don't-
law.
don't think that she's giving you back all this money. That's not happening.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board? Anybody?
Can I just say one more thing?
Nope, not right now. We'll give everybody a chance to speak. Anybody else wish to address the board on the local law? Seeing none?
Yeah.
Keep it, and then we're gonna have our conversation.
Again, this is not about, I mean, it happened to affect Mrs. Reed this year. but it's
Please
not-
address us.
I'm sorry,
because
I'm
you
sorry,
gotta
I'm
talk
sorry.
into
But
the
I just feel
microphone.
so bad for her, really, honestly.
Please,
But
Linda.
what it is it's putting a law on the books. And not only does it affect that position, being able to run for this board into perpetuity, it also now means that other town employees could come and say, I'd like to run for the board. And you created the town law for someone last year or 2 years ago. And I'd like you to do the same thing and make it for my position, another unelected position. So I really wish people would not think about the person that's in it. Is it the right thing to do? That's all. Thank you.
We gotta clarify one thing. It's a local law that can be changed, repealed at any time. That's what you do. It would be the same thing if somebody didn't like the law and they brought it to the board, they'd bring it in, we'd have a hearing, we could repeal it. This is for a 1-year term to serve as our sewer water if the board sees fit to allow her to hold the position as town council. That's it. It's a 1-year for that position only. It's not a blanket carte blanche law. It's a local law. It's not a state law. And that's the way it is. So please come up and state your name for record.
Jim Morrison, Warrensburg. Just a quick clarification, Kevin. Does that mean the law could be changed yearly?
Sure.
Why, just logic says it seems if a particular person was running, Kevin, and that person might not fit the mold, you could change the law that year. And then if another person ran that was,
You've lost me.
okay, what I'm saying is if it can be changed every year, could it be
Any
based?
law can be repealed.
Okay, but Kevin, can it be changed because of personalities? If someone was to run that didn't fit the mold, could politics come involved? That's all I'm asking.
I guess that would be up to the people sitting in our chairs.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Kevin.
I don't know what to, I can't project the future, but that's, I guess,
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank
could
you.
happen. Anybody else? Real quick.
I've read through this. This is Michelle again.
Yeah.
I've read through this. Says nothing of 1 year.
Well, it's always 1 year. Local laws are they're local law until they're repealed.
I speak loud and I don't know if I have to come up here. I just have one quick question.
Real quick, Gary.
Real quick. If we're voting on this law this evening, will it be just you four gentlemen doing a yay or nay? Or would the third vote be the people in the room? Just asking.
Well, it's up
Because
to the board.
one could be yay, nay, and then we're in a stagnant.
That could
Who
happen.
makes the change?
The town board. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to town councilmen for their comments. You have any comments, John?
I do. All good valid points were made this afternoon. My point that I want to try to emphasize is that sewer and water are fees, they're not taxes. If Joyce had anything to do with tax collection, then he's elected position as a tax collector, as a town clerk. Gail made that obvious and clear that there's a difference there. Sewer and water are fees. You're in the water district, you're in the sewer district. They are collected as fees and should be considered there. That's, you go into comptroller's language and anything, you'll see that they are not taxes. You are charged a fee for this service. I don't see a conflict for that reason. I went and read some language on the comptroller site. And a lot of towns look at this same thing where they've had to appoint people called commissioners. Now, for instance, I'm Kevin's deputy. I've appointed a deputy for a small stipend, deputy supervisor. I can do another duty on top of being a councilman. Comptroller, there's language there. The people could be commissioners, water commissioner, sewer commissioner, and also sit on a town board. Because it's a fee. That's what I'm trying to get across. That which puts me in the position that Joyce would be very capable of doing both jobs because she's fair and balanced. And she's doing a great job with sewer water. She's found a lot of anomalies that she's corrected. We voted on them 2 months ago. She's brought the number of codes down to a one-page thing that just makes sense. Because someday we want to see water in, sewer out. We want to see those properties are in both water and sewer. It makes sense, water in, sewer out. So that's what my point is, that she's grasped this. She's got a real good handle on it. We were talking to our engineers 2 months ago with a lot of spreadsheets that when we finally get there, water in, sewer out, we're both users of both districts to make it more fair, because we're finding a lot of inequities because some people aren't in both. So that's my opinion, is that there is language that I read that this local law is not going to hurt anything. I think Joyce is very capable of doing both jobs. And 900 people thought the same thing. So that's it.
Brian?
Regarding the election, I had a question. I said, well, Joyce, is she going to have to give up her position? And I was told, no, because it's a water sewer thing. It's not an issue. She can sit on the town board. I was told that, and I went away, and I actually kind of spoke highly of Joyce for the election, supported her, and welcomed her to the board when she won. Then in the 11th hour, we find out after the election day was on one day, the very next day we had a board meeting, nothing of it. Then in December, I didn't see that local law till I sat down here. And I read that phrase that Miss Ross, almost called her Miss Galusha, and read that said, no qualified applicants or a lack of, which is just total horseshit, So that put me off my feed right there. And now we look into it, and lo and behold, we need this law to make this happen. I know she does a good job at both positions, and I can tell you, I have a great saying somebody told me once. The cemeteries are full of indispensable people. That means that, something happens and you have to move on and find somebody new for the position. And I can tell you, when I was a young man and starting my family, this made a great job for my wife to come to the town hall and work. We were happy to have that job for her because it made a time she had to raise a family and do what she had to do to kind of be in town and not be traveling the way she used to have to do. I think that there's plenty of applicants out there. We could put this out. We can find somebody who qualified, a young person, somebody's going to enjoy having this job, or if Miss Reed wants to we want her on the board. She won the election with a mandate, and I think she should sit here. But maybe it's time to train somebody new for the position. Thank you.
Mr. Larkin?
I think Joyce Reed is probably one of the most capable people in the community. And she did win the election outstandingly. And I too went and thanked Joyce for her efforts. And I have no question that she can do a terrific job with the water sewer work. And it's not about Joyce. It's about creating a new law at the 11th hour of the year to accommodate somebody that one position on the board and happens to already be a town employee. My personal feelings, having done a fair amount of research over the last 2 weeks, is that there have been procedural missteps in putting this forth. Number one, none of us knew that this law was going to be presented to us until we sat down here at the last town board meeting. And I take issue with that. And depending upon which lawyer you speak to, it can be interpreted, and I love that word, interpreted, and from many points of view. But more importantly, and the feedback that I'm getting from the community is that the town of Warrensburg, many people are feeling insulted that there was no effort by the town board to seek a person that might be qualified for the position of water and sewer clerk. And what's important to remember is that when this law came out, it states right in it that the reason to put the law on the books is because nobody else in the community is qualified. And that was so stated at the last town board meeting. I would welcome Joyce to stay in the water and sewer department. I would welcome Joyce to sit on the town board, and I would be happy to work with her going forward in any effort. She's a smart gal. She's a good community member, and there's no reason to make this about Joyce. Again, it's about the procedure. It's about the short notice to the town board members. It's about the fact that nobody advertised the job to see if, in fact, there was a qualified individual out there that might be interested in having a position with the town of Warrensburg. And that's the reason I give pause to making this decision.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. On November 21st, after I heard comments about whether she could hold both positions, I broached the town attorneys and got a response on November 21st that said that the town attorneys thought the sewer water clerk and the position of town board were incompatible. After that, in early December, I was handed information from Mrs. Reed, where she highlighted to me sections of New York State Senate laws and different laws saying, I disagree with their take on whether it could be, incompatible or not. And in this, there's section of laws that were highlighted. When I got this information, I sent it to the town attorney. I said, please look at this information and see if this information given to me by Mrs. Reed and highlighted town law 27-1, 27-1, controller's opinions from 1964, if that would apply to this position. I waited to get the information from the town attorney. We asked the town attorney when we were going to get the information. I was handed a letter from the town attorneys on December 13th. Our meeting was the next night. So that's why I brought it to the town board. Now, when this letter went out on the 21st to any of the town board members, I never heard a word from anybody. It was put in their folders on the 21st of November. I never heard anything. I couldn't disseminate this to the town board members. We're having a meeting on the 14th. Didn't even get it on the agenda because there were so many moving parts to the agenda until the day of the meeting. So that's why it appeared. Contrary to what you've been reading, you could read in the newspaper, that's what really happened. I have the documents here if anybody would care to look at them. I tried to do my agendas a week in advance. I asked everybody to try to get your reports in the Friday before. In this case here, just didn't have time to get it on there. Now, with time fast approaching, we have made many, many, many changes to the water sewer billing and how we are going to bill in the future. It has taken us 2 years to straighten out the water sewer information that we had before. And we're finally at a point where it is going to be a very short list of codes for the water sewer department. And that's where we get to this point tonight. I feel comfortable that there is not a conflict between what she will do as a water sewer district or what she will do as a town council person. But that's my opinion. I've heard all you state difference of opinion. I've heard innuendos thrown. But here's the facts. I have the facts right here. If you want to come look at the documents, I have them all right here. And that's it. You know, so that's what I'm basing it on, and that's what I sent to the opinion. Now, what the attorneys write is what the attorneys write.
Would you read the first sentence from the 13th letter from Bob Hauser to you?
The 13th,
Yes, where is he? Where is the lawyer?
they're off this week. We don't need a lawyer.
Oh,
Okay, the what now?
just the first sentence of the letter from the 13th.
We previously advised the town and the town council cannot be employed as town sewer clerk. However, if the town adopts a local law specifically authorizing that position can be held by town council person, then it can be allowed. Joyce will need to make sure to recuse herself from any matters relating to the position or pay or benefits. That's what it says.
So it's the employee part that's the issue. If not, is she good, is she not?
Hmm?
It says she cannot, it says, we previously advised the town clerk that town council person cannot also be employed as the town sewer and water clerk.
Can what now?
I just read, we previously advised the town that a town council person cannot also be employed as the.
That was their initial, that's their initial letter on the 21st.
Right. However, if you wanted to do it, you could do a special law.
That's right, we're
That's
doing.
exactly it. And so that's
That's
the issue. It's, can an employee serve on the town? That's the issue. And if so, you need to create a local law.
That's what they're doing now.
Well, that's what,
I understand that.
that's what we're attempting to
The
do.
question is that right? If it's not open
Please address us. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I do. Scenario. Every town employee runs for election and wipes out all you people sitting on this board, and they become the Warrensburg Town Board and Warrensburg employees. They get to vote, their benefits, their wages, their this and that. My buddy can do this, my buddy can do that. Where are we gonna go with local law that can be changed every year, or we make the first change this year? What happens if Joe Blow's brother wants to be on the town board and he works for the town of Warrensburg? And he's got some other ideas about loaning a loader to himself or doing a print, using a printer in the office or any such things as that. It's great that you people are independent, but you're opening up a can of worms for every employee in the town of Warrensburg to sit on that board and make rules about their own lifestyles and decisions for this community. And that's what I see wrong. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, seeing no other comments, we're gonna close the public hearing. Thank you. We'll go on to our other business and then we'll decide whether we want to vote on the public hearing. First item of business, resolution request to allow Tracy Benoit to carry over 1 week of vacation time to 2023.
I'll make it.
Motion by Brian,
Second.
second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Reminder that the organizational meeting will be held January 3rd, 2022 at 11 a.m. We had complaints about snowmobiles running on the sidewalk from 4th Street to Cloverleaf Drive. And I've instructed asked the highway superintendent to plow the sidewalks again. Some of the people who live along that stretch of the highway don't want the snowmobiles running on that sidewalk. they whiz by the houses, and it looks like the groomer didn't fit in between and it's gone out. It's a mess up there. So Eddie's going, the highway superintendent will take care of that issue. Next, I need a resolution request to transfer $5,000 from the water reserve fund to the water cash account to cover expenses for year end. Motion by John, second by Brian. Discussion? All those in favor? Right? Okay. Now, the local law, what's the pleasure of the board? Do you want to proceed with it or do you want to pull back? John?
I just want to proceed with it. I'll make a motion to proceed.
I'll second the motion to proceed. We'll have discussion. Brian?
I'm gonna be voting no on it, but I'd like to see us put forth some effort to take some applications and see who's out there to
Well, we'll have to wait to see what Mrs. Reed's decision is first. So, Mr. Larkin?
I think I've already been pretty clear about my position. And if the board chooses to move forward, I will continue with that position.
Okay. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll. On yay for passing the local law or nay for opposing?
In favor of passing the law? Councilperson Alexander?
Yes.
Councilperson Brown?
No.
Councilperson Larkin?
No.
And Supervisor Garrity?
Yes,
Thank you.
and law fails. Okay,
How about the people?
the law fails.
I don't get it.
Okay. Eric?
No.
Okay, next we have, in your packet is the budget modifications and budget amendments. So somebody want to make a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Larkin. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Rounds. Discussion? These are all the paid year-end bills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any other public comments?
Can I ask a question about Fourth Avenue? Are they able to ride on the side of the road?
Hudson Street. We're
It's-
talking about Hudson Street.
It's Hudson Street.
Hudson Street.
Hudson Street, and I think we're gonna move the trail to the other side of the road.
So they are riding on sidewalks or not?
They were.
They're not going to in the future.
Oh, they're not going to?
Yeah. Yeah, they were, there's less homes on the other side and they'll move the
There's
trail over there.
Just the homes for the people in the cemetery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other public comments tonight? Thank you all for coming. Motion to adjourn. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Tracy? Tracy, can I talk to you for a second? Can I see you for a second?
That